Welcome to the Spiritual Connection Podcast. I am your host, Jill. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about your energy, their energy, manifesting, mindset, creating high vibrational healing for you, body work, the importance of massage and self-care, and much, much more. Let's get rolling. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Om Shanti Healing Spiritual Connection. I am so excited about this podcast. We're going to be speaking with Janelle Helgeson out of Lyons. Janelle is a somatic psychedelic coach. She helps people heal with plant medicine through various phases of psychedelic mushrooms and microdosing. She has many classes available that we will discuss later, but I just want to welcome Janelle onto the podcast. I'm so excited to learn from you, to hear your story, and to maybe get some stories of what you have seen and experienced working with the general public through their healing journey. So welcome and thank you for being here, Janelle.
Thank you so much, Jill. It's a pleasure.
Very good. Yeah. So let's jump right in. We have a lot to talk about. I want to start with just sharing a little bit about your journey into the world of plant medicine and shamanism. What was your pivotal moment that kind of shifted things for you and brought you onto this path?
That's such a great question. There's actually two pivotal moments, if you will. The first one was a little over 9 years ago, which was the first time that I sat with ayahuasca, which is known as grandmother. And it's probably the most known plant medicine in existence. And so the first time I ever sat with that medicine, I was extremely humbled. Just in like the process of the ego was extremely humbled. It opened the pathway. And from that point, I actually stepped in with one of the plant medicines that I work with. So as you mentioned, I work with psilocybin, which is one of the top researched plant medicines in the world right now. And I also work with the acacia, which is known as Tepezquihite, and it's actually a DMT smoke. And that one was the biggest pivotal plant medicine for me in my journey, mainly in the sense of trauma healing. And so that's where it all started for me.
Awesome. So this was a journey that you went on for your own healing.
Yes.
And it sounds like it inspired you and shifted things so much for you now that you're helping others on their journey. That has been the inspiration for starting this business.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Can you just share a little bit to whatever depth you would like on how this changed your life personally?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This totally goes into research. I never really considered myself to be a researcher until I witnessed firsthand the benefits of working with all styles of plant medicine for your own healing. So plant medicine is great for healing. It's a phenomenal tool because it can take like 10 years worth of healing, trauma, however we want to call it. So when I use the word trauma, just for the reference on the podcast, trauma, everyone experiences it. And what that means, especially in like neurolinguistic programming, which I'm certified in, and the coaching world and even therapy, trauma is a way of disassociating. And everyone has levels of disassociation, whether that's food, whether that's drugs, alcohol, all the way down to behaviors. Porn is a huge disassociation, right? And so within that, witnessing firsthand how plant medicine, whether it's microdosing or macrodosing, and the difference is microdosing is you're taking a small amount every day. You're not really getting that psychoactive experience where there's visuals and you're kind of on a journey. It allows you to function in your day-to-day life while you're still getting the physical benefits of the plant medicine. Now, then when we accompany that with macrodosing, which is where you are sitting with larger amounts of psilocybin, DMT, all the way down to San Pedro, those are kind of like fast tracks. Like they're kind of, we're going to get straight to it. We're going to kind of move through this space. And then microdosing continues that space post, which is why I feel it's very important to work with both. And that's what happened with me. So just a little bit of my background. I come from a family lineage that has had so much sexual abuse, so much trauma with women being manipulated and abused, so on and so forth. And so the way that the plant medicine helped heal me was being able to restructure the cellular memory that gets passed down in our family lineage. So what that means is a good example is when grandmother is pregnant with mom, at 4 months, that baby girl is developed with all of her eggs. So any positive and negative experience that grandmother experiences, it then transfers to mother, which then transfers to every single grandchild she is going to develop and have. And so plant medicine goes down to the somatic structure, which is our DNA memory, and restructures that on top of working with the brain. And so when someone is in fight or flight, it's actually where the beta, which is the back of the head, is firing. And what that means is that the alpha, which is our flow state, we're feeling good, we're having a good time, we're manifesting, as well as your theta, which is the part where you're cool and calm, right? Those are actually not firing in balance because the beta has taken over to be in fight or flight. Plant medicine takes the brain out of that. It takes the nervous system out of that, even if you're microdosing or if you're sitting with macrodosing. And so that's where plant medicine really helped me because the level of trauma, or numb as I like to call it, has been passed down, and even experiencing, creating similar experiences, because what our nervous system experiences is what it actually creates in our reality, which is why it's so important to work with coaches. Plant medicine's a great tool because working in that environment and therapy all helps your nervous system get back into a state of acceptance, of alignment, and actually thriving.
Gosh, it feels like every single one of us needs some of that.
Yeah, totally.
That is powerful stuff. Yeah, thank you for explaining the physiological changes that happen in the brain. Now, it doesn't erase memory. How does it help with the triggers? Does it just kind of dull when you have a trigger mentally, you see something, smell something, that brings you back to that trauma moment. Does How does the mushroom help to not create like a physical side effect of that trigger?
Yeah, so what it does, so this is a topic that is such an important topic because what it does is over time, it breaks down the walls essentially. So, any type of psilocybin, any type of microdosing, even with DMT or Helmaska, which is a really potent seeded version of ayahuasca that is actually healing people of leprosy right now. And the research that they're starting to do on it is phenomenal. But what that does is it takes you out of tunnel vision. So imagine that you're kind of like your trauma, those responses, those triggers are blinders. What plant medicine does, either microdosing or macrodosing, is it takes those blinders off. Then the next step into that is having a therapist, having a coach, having, a or a medicine woman, a shaman work with you to start becoming aware of the constructs, the behaviors, the actions, and the responses that you have unconsciously been going through because you've had those blinders on. So it's actually a
Yes.
whole restructuring. And so individuals who are like, just go sit with plant medicine. Yes, that's great. And it's so important to have someone else on your side to help you understand why you're responding the way that you are and how to set up appropriate actions, emotional responses, and thoughts to pivot before you get into that mode of super trigger where people can self-sabotage.
Wow, I love that. It feels like such a powerful therapeutic process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
definitely.
very exciting, and would you say it's becoming more and more popular the past 5 years or so?
It is definitely becoming more popular. Right now, Texas is actually the leading state on legalization of psychedelics across the board. They're really focusing on ibogaine, which can actually take someone who is a heroin addict, and within 24 to 48 hours, they're completely restructured to where they never step back into heroin.
Holy cow, really?
Yeah, Colorado is
That's
just now, they just
amazing.
announced that they're going to start their studies here so that it can also be something that's a part of the state program that they just passed a couple years ago as well.
Awesome. So, how did this experience personally for you and your trauma journey and healing through all of that? How did this process kind of shape and mold your desire to then start a business and become a facilitator?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I am forever grateful and honored by the benefits of plant medicine. When the severe depression that I was in, including the way that my body would respond on a daily basis due to the childhood trauma that I experienced, um, to be able to walk out of that and actually be in a space where I am financially bringing in what I truly desire. I'm thriving, right? And so everyone who's in survival wants to thrive. The hardest part is that most of the time, their whole system, that means their mind, their somatic structure, which is cellular memory, all the way down to their nervous system, is actually fighting against it. It's kind of like head and heart coherence. In order to have the head and the heart work together, they have to stop battling each other. And that
So
is the
true.
biggest thing that I've stepped away from, is the embodiment of being able to actually live my life and actually be able to show up as a better parent than my parents ever did, to be able to teach my son how to regulate his nervous system so that then he can truly receive the life that he really wants to live and be in happiness and peace and relaxation and joy, right? We all want that. And though the biggest thing that we run into is that our society worldwide is actually built to keep us disassociated. And so the biggest aspect that I ran into was, wow, this is kind of a little bit of a lonely journey, in the sense that we become so sovereign that those experiences that keep us disassociated no longer resonate. And it's like, how do we find our tribe? How do we move forward with that? And though that was the best thing that I could have ever done, because I have more of a family, I have more of a community of people who are truly dedicated to this level of loving themselves. And there's no way that they're ever going to falter in going back to the old way.
That is powerful. And what a blessing that we have that right from nature to utilize. And I really believe that the journey with a coach and someone by your side when you're going into this vulnerable state is crucial to you coming out on the other side of it with massive positive change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's radical self-love, and it's radical self-responsibility. And the plant medicine gives so much gratitude and forgiveness to the self around that.
Yeah. Amazing. What a beautiful thing. So, were there any particular challenges for you or insights that you might have gained in your own experience with the plant medicine that you now have used in your toolbox to help others?
Yeah. The biggest one was the responsibility around where I played a key in my continual suffering. So there's always a point on our journey of healing, specifically with trauma and highly with complex trauma, where we're so blind to how those specific actions, and blind might be a little bit of a heavier word. We're just really unconscious because of those actions or thoughts that actually might keep us in that loop of that perpetual pain, that perpetual disassociation or self-sabotage, right? Whatever that might show up as, there is a part that we play in, and that was the hardest part to actually take responsibility for. And though the moment that I did that and I worked through this frustration and this sadness, and I had to step into deep forgiveness, was the moment that it became so much easier.
Oh, wow, what a journey. Yeah, we get into these comfort zones of discomfort, right? Where that discomfort and that story, that subconscious messaging in our minds that real all day becomes our norm,
Yeah.
right? And to shift out of that is such a powerful and challenging thing to do for yourself, because that safety zone and that self-sabotage and that victimization is kind of an armor, People can use that as a scapegoat to do bigger things for their lives or to forgive somebody or to get out of that comfort zone and to get into some discomfort that's essentially going to help them grow, evolve, and accomplish things in their life that they really know that they want but can't reach.
Yeah.
Right? You got to get out of your own way, right? And sometimes that deep rooted trauma from when you were little is so deeply embedded in your DNA on a cellular level that that is what all that you know. And the feeling of feeling and doing and being something different is scary.
Totally.
'Cause it's like
Yeah.
a completely different version of who you are that you need to get to know. And can you be responsible for that version of you? Can you still operate in the world in that new version of you? And is it going to feel comfortable or is it going to feel uncomfortable? When
Yeah.
you clear out the shadows and do the work and get out of that way of the old version of you, I can't imagine those emotions that must have been stirring up inside of you during that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did it take more than one round of this, the macro dosing? How many did you
Oh,
do?
I ended up with a Tepes Quihite ceremony once with the elder who is the lineage carrier. And it was in that ceremony, essentially after that ceremony, they actually asked if I wanted to study with them. And so I did an entire year of every month sitting on huge doses of this plant medicine. And then over time, I started to incorporate psilocybin with it. And that is to this day my most popular ceremony because it's really psilocybin works with the brain. 100% works with the brain. DMT does the same thing, but Tepes is more of a somatic. We're really going to get into that emotional body. And so by combining them both, those have been my like most potent ceremonies, if you will, is combining psilocybin and DMT together.
So, share with the audience what DMT is.
Yes, I really can never pronounce the actual scientific name. But DMT is a natural form. We actually have DMT receptors in our body and in our brains. And so when we are born, we actually secrete DMT. And when we die, we also secrete DMT, which means that we are actually having a lucid experience both during birth and death. DMT is a scientific molecular compound that is actually found in thousands upon thousands of different types of plants. And what it does is it takes you on psychoactive experiences. And it wasn't until 3 years ago, it'll be 4 years this coming November, that they've never tested or did any type of research with the acacia or Tepes quihite. And 3 years ago is when I first started the very first studies of it. And it can take someone who is in severe trauma and within a week after sitting with it once can shift their brain out of fight or flight and put it into complete balance.
How is this ingested? Is it something that you eat or drink?
Yeah, so you can actually drink it. So that's Iowaska is known for DMT as being as a drink, as tea. Tepes cojite is actually a smoke. And what the beauty is around Tepes is because it's a smoke, it goes directly into the bloodstream, which means that we're able to work with people who have more chronic conditions or are on specific types of medications that they might be rejected with an ayahuasca ceremony. So there are specific conditions and types of medications that if you're taking them, you can't go sit with ayahuasca. And that's because the concoction itself has specific molecular makeups that are really harmful for those individuals. But because Tepes is an actual smoke and it goes directly into the bloodstream, we're actually able to work with those people who have those chronic conditions and are on those specific type of medications much easier so that they're still receiving healing.
Wow. You're so smart to know these things and what is the safest option for people to get the most depth in their healing, but not be affected by the prescriptions that they're on. That
Yeah,
is that is just it creates a sense of safety for the client
yeah.
with you being so highly educated. So I appreciate that in you. That's a beautiful thing. So what do you think is the most powerful lesson that you've learned from working with plant medicine personally in your own life? Is there like a profound aha moment that you had that really speaks to you on a regular basis?
Yeah, there's two. The first one is you have to trust the unknown. You have to trust that what's on the other side is way more important than the continual process of running through these patterns over and over again. And you have to trust in yourself, and you have to trust in spirit, God, however you perceive it. And so the second one is you truly are already whole. You are truly already complete. You just have to let go of the constructs that you believe, because a thought is just, or a belief is just a thought. You think a lot. And so it's all about that belief. It's all about that memory of believing that there's truly something wrong with me when there's not. The experiences that you've gone through in this lifetime serve a purpose on the grander scale. What you went through, and as you become more aware of your wholeness and those constructs that trauma doesn't have a hold on you anymore, you're actually there to help guide other people. You're actually there to be a guidance, a light system for the rest of the world, because just because of what I went through doesn't mean that's going to match someone else. So people gravitate towards me for specific things. And it's very similar. And we need everyone, the planet needs everyone to recognize that they truly are. You're perfect just as you are, regardless of what you've been through. Yes, what happened was not fair. What you experienced was not fun. And in this moment, choosing to love yourself and step into that forgiveness, that's what the world needs.
So true. So true. Everybody needs it on a deep, deep level. And it's really interesting to know that this is available into the stories that you must hear from people. Really, it makes me very curious. So let's touch upon overcoming some things in that regard. This is a great segue into talking about the plant medicine, and helping people move out of this place of stagnation, that uncomfortable comfort zone, that discontented familiarness of people that they stay in this space because it's all they know. And that deep knowing of they want more, they want to make more money, they want to grow their own business, they want to forgive their parents or whoever abused them. There's so much in there that they want to have shift, but it's terrifying to think about looking at all of that again and kind of purging it. So they stay stagnant, right? They stay in this box. What are some common shifts? Can you share some stories maybe that you've seen with clients that have done this work with you, where that stagnation has been shaken loose and they've had some major stuff release? Can you share a few stories?
Yeah. So there's one in particular ceremony that comes to mind around this specific question. This amazing soul came. She was a part of one of my programs that I have where we combine macrodosing and microdosing with coaching. And specifically in this one ceremony, she thought she was coming into that ceremony to heal mom wounds. And it was her dad who actually came forward. And it was in that moment that she had the epiphany that she had, what is the word? She idolized her dad, even though that was the abuser. And it was in that moment that even though there was like this mass confusion of, oh, her young child, inner child idolized him, but I'm so confused because there was so much abuse from him, she was able to see him in his full form and recognize the pain that he was going through, because hurt people hurt people. And it was in that moment that her inner child actually met her dad, who had passed, went through this massive lineage healing of helping him process through his pain so that her young child could also move on from that. And she beautifully, I like calling it dissolving, she like beautifully opened and dissolved with just crying and emotional healing and just epiphanies left and right. And when that happens in a ceremony, so my background, I know that we'll get like, is in shamanism. I studied with 4 nations of North America as well as Central America from 2008 to 2015. So medicine work or shamanism is my background. And so when I work with someone, I can connect with their spirit. I can connect with the higher self, and I hear what the body is telling me, and I can see where there's disassociation. And the moment that that kind of shift takes place in a ceremony, the whole body, the mind and the body click. and there's this massive energetic release. Like I have chills talking about it because it's that
Me
deep.
too. Wow. That is
Yeah.
amazing. So do you just work with one-on-ones at a time?
I do one-on-ones, I do private groups, and then about 4 times a year, I do public ceremonies where anyone can come.
Okay. In those public ceremonies with bigger groups, is it more of a micro experience?
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
they're all micros or macros. And so within that space, if it's like four, I really like it when everyone knows each other. It just gives a little bit more safety. And that's number one when you're holding space is safety. And it's really fun to kind of see it bounce in that group. One-on-ones are really great too, especially if it's like within the coaching programs that I host and there's like a deep intention that we're working towards this specific goal. And especially with Tepes Cujite, that one is really great for public where people don't know each other because that is such a communal medicine. It is gorgeous to see how people show up for each other in that ceremony.
Gives hope to the humanity, the humanness of being human,
Yeah,
right? Where
yeah.
we all should be supporting and holding each other up in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got their baggage, everybody's vulnerable and hurting some way. And the more that you can really lean on each other and just be there as a support system,
Mm-hmm.
just that's the way it should be,
Yes.
so that's a beautiful thing. uh so the plant medicine, it sounds like it often provides like powerful insights and healing for people. Can you share a little bit more specifically on some breakthroughs, especially when someone is feeling really stuck? Maybe they have a lot of anxiety around this process with you,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of afraid of what might come up and kind of facing that trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and then they do it anyway with your support, and then they have a breakthrough moment on the other side of that. Can you kind of reflect upon maybe one client where you've had that kind of scenario where there was a breakthrough, from the stuckness of their life to something profoundly amazing happening for them?
Yeah, yeah, that one's actually pretty common in all honesty. And I totally, anytime someone comes into a ceremony, I hold such deep reverence for them because they're coming into a space where this medicine is going to meet you and it's going to show you things that may be hard, and it's also going to show you who you truly are, which is the most beautiful part. And that's what this specific scenario was like. She came in just completely lost in this ceremony. I don't know who I am. I feel like I'm constantly chasing, like, what am I supposed to do with my life? Da, da, da. She was very anxious within that space. And it was in that ceremony. So the way that I show up in ceremonies sometimes is I'm going to either do neurolinguistic programming with you, or I'm going to sit back and I'm just going to hold space so that you are on your own journey. Sometimes there's sound healing, talk therapy, whatever it might show up that you need in that moment. And in particular with this one, she really just wanted physical contact. So I was holding onto her hand while I was singing some ceremonial songs. And she really, it's really beautiful to see people kind of like resist, if you will. And then there's a point within ceremony where that kind of epiphany happens. And it's like a big breath. And she really did. She took a really big breath. And she, again, just melted. And the moment she melted, she was like, the medicine's telling me that I am it. I am what I'm looking for. I am this. I am that. And so just when we take our perception, when the perception is projected outward, the hardest thing is to bring it inward. And the moment that we can bring it inward and accept that everything that I truly am looking for is here, it starts here. And that's really what happened in that ceremony. And from that point, her finances started to double from that point, as well as she stepped into a really beautiful relationship. She went and got all of these different trainings. She's traveling the world doing what she loves now.
Wow. Oh, it's so beautiful. That gives me goosebumps again. That's the second time. So with what I do, I do energy work with people. I do body work and healing with them. And the energy component of that is really kind of crucial to their healing journey. So I know with you, there's a lot of energy. It feels like you're very tuned into that, and you kind of ride the wave of what other people are energetically projecting in your healing and in your coaching as they journey through this experience with you. So, can we take a minute and just talk about the role of energy, vibration, and how does the plant medicine um, help them? What would you say to them about its potential and the breakthroughs around the shifts in the energy with your clients as these levels or these layers unravel, the layers peel back, the energy's moving through all these layers as things shift for them?
Mhm.
You know, can you talk a little bit about vibration and blocks being removed and the unraveling of all that stuck stuff coming undone for people and what that kind of feels like and looks like when you do your healing work?
Yeah, I've had many people come and not understand what is releasing. I've had many people come and have major epiphanies in the understanding of what they're releasing. And in between, I've had some in betweens. And what I've noticed over the many years that I've been doing this work is whether you consciously are aware of it or not, you're working with multiple bodies within yourself. And what that means is sometimes individuals are going to feel it more in their body before the brain actually registers it. Sometimes people are going to have it register in the brain before the body registers it. And there's a beauty within that. And what that beauty is it's your molecular makeup. And so everything literally is energy. So the more that you have self-gnosis, which is self-awareness around your thoughts, around the words that you're using, because in traditions, words are spells. So what we say is going to essentially create a reality. And then we live in a quantum reality. Then we live in an energetic past experience with our family lineage. So we're working with so many different constructs, literally within one family lineage that's like start to finish almost. We have close to 5,000 different people and that you're working with. That's 5,000 different energetic strains that are within just your DNA alone, which creates you. And so the more that
Fascinating.
you have awareness around yourself and what you want, which I find is the one thing that most people have a hard time with. What do I truly want? Where do I want to go in my life? What am I like meant to do? Most people have a hard time actually saying this is the direction that I want to go. And that is what plant medicine is really great with because it clears up all of that brain fog, all of the loud noises that can keep you from being like, this is where I want to go. This is how I want to feel. This is the kind of life that I want to live. This is the type of money that I want to bring in. That is the first step. You have to understand where you're going. If you do not understand a destination, you're going to be scattered and you're going to go all over the place. Your energy is going to do the same thing. So what you emit, both mentally, physically, with words, energetically, is what's going to create a reality. So we have to start with the body first.
Well, that's
We have to,
powerful.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so true, so true. So, do you have scenarios where people come out of this and completely change their career or get divorced or, move to a different state? Or, like, do you hear feedback after the ceremony from your clients about things that have shifted in their lives?
Oh, totally. I will say that the biggest shifts that I see in people are the individuals who are in my coaching programs that work with plant medicine because it's a long-term game. Your life is a long-term game. It is not like just a one and done kind of ceremony. Yes, sometimes that's really great for individuals who kind of already have that build up where they already have practices. They've studied this, they've studied that. That's great. But for the everyday person, having that continual work with plant medicine is where the big shifts take place. And there was this one individual, I love her. She's a dear sister of mine to this day. She came to me on medical leave, and she was in my 3-month program. And she was like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I need to figure this out because I'm depressed, all of these things. And depression, anxiety, those are all just byproducts of you being disconnected from your heart, your true essence. So that's what my
So
practice is
true.
medicine weaving for that reason, because it's weaving you back to your medicine, which is your heart, your purpose, what you're here to do. Plant medicine is that tool. And it literally can take 10 years of work and condense it anywhere between 6 months to 2 years, depending on how dedicated you are with that work. And so this individual was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. When her program was done, she moved to Thailand. She got certification in trauma yoga, and she's now literally traveling the world, living the best life, doing what she wants to do. And we've done a couple of retreats together with plant medicine and trauma yoga.
Wow, what a great story.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
many.
I'm sure you've got lots and lots of them. Yeah, and I would love to hear for days all your stories. But I wanted to ask you here, if someone's kind of on the fence, kind of uncertain about plant medicine, but they know they need healing. They know they have deep trauma. They know that they self-sabotage and they're not fully in their heart with what they do or who they're with or what they're doing, and they feel lost,
Mhm.
but they're apprehensive about getting into that vulnerable state with plant medicine. What do you say to someone that maybe contacts you with some uncertainty around it? And like, how do you ease them into knowing that these breakthroughs are going to be beneficial and remove maybe some spiritual blockages for them or emotional blockages for them? Can you
Yeah,
speak on that for a moment?
it's a really good question. In all honesty, the best way that I go about that is the constant reaffirming why they're here in the first place. It's a constant reaffirming. If they're coming to plant medicine, it's either because they're really ready or everything else has failed. And so it's about leading into, what does self-love mean for them? What are they willing to understand in the most gracious, most compassionate aspects, to be able to surrender deeper into their, we call it the Constitution, right? We're strong in our Constitution. How do we lead into that Constitution? The biggest thing on top of that is, I have so many clients who love talking to potential clients. I can't tell you how many people who have worked with me have talked with my previous clients around their healing journey. And that's the most important part, is the relatability. If they can relate with someone, that's what makes a good therapist. It's what makes a good coach. What makes a good friend, good family, is we all have this relatability. And the more that someone feels that that person that they're going to go sit with understands every aspect that they've walked through, they're going to say, this is safe, because safety is key. If someone does not feel safe, they're not going to say yes to it. And so it's all about creating that safety container. When I was studying with the Lakota, Cody was her name, and she was the right-hand lady of the main shaman, and she was the space holder. And I remember studying with them and just looking at her and be like, that is what I'm here to do. I'm here to hold space, because when we hold a safe container for individuals and it's energetic, a lot of the time people are just like, oh, wow, I feel really safe around this person. I would never talk about that with that person. That's the key, is that safety. I'm just here to listen to you, and I'm here to be this beautiful reflection to help you see yourself. And that's honestly one of the biggest ways people shift as well, too.
That's fantastic. I love that. And yeah, when you're in a space of complete vulnerability and you don't really know what to expect, having a trusted person by your side is key
Yes.
to moving forward and wanting to do this work for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
So for
Education.
someone considering working with you, can you kind of reflect on what they can expect in terms of personal growth and like transformation through the medicine weaving techniques? Can you speak on that? Like, I would love to have you kind of walk us through the process. If we were to do a one-on-one with you, can you walk us through how that all takes place?
So the first thing that I do is, there's actually a really big survey that everyone has to take if they're considering to work with me. And that survey asks really deep questions over and over again, to really get the individual who is coming to me to really contemplate, what is it that I'm really wanting here? And the reason why that's so important is because in neurolinguistic programming, they teach that sometimes what we're really asking for isn't really what we're asking for. Like most people actually have a hard time truly understanding what they're really asking for. So let's give an example. Like if someone were to come to me and say, I'm really struggling financially and I really want to break through that financial barrier, right? Like I want to bring in this amount of money. Okay, great. Well, what is it that you're actually asking within that? What are you feeling? What does that feel like to not have that money? Well, it makes me feel like a failure. It makes me feel this way. I feel like I'm depleted. I'm being hard on myself. I'm really judgmental, apparently, towards myself. Great. Those are the things that we're going to look at. Those are the things that we are going to focus on. We're going to focus where you learn to start judging yourself. We're going to focus on who was the first person that ever taught you that you were a failure if you didn't show up in these specific ways? Because all of this work is based off of either family lineage constructs or inner child trauma. And so we go back to the inner child where it all began. And it's almost like a mapping. We get to map it back to where it started. And the moment that you start to incorporate what that version of you is believing is the moment, and you accept it, is the moment that it shifts. Okay. Oh, wow. I felt that release in my body. Well, look at that. I just brought in $12,000. That's really cool. Now, what's next? And then from that point, we get to teach, hey, these are the tools. Here's some techniques. This is how you pivot, but this is also how you start to see the precursors if you start stepping into anxiety, if you start stepping into depression, if you start stepping into self-sabotage. Here are the precursors, and you need to become aware of those precursors so that you never get to that point and you pivot. We call it pivoting. And when you pivot, that's where you say, I'm actually choosing to not succumb to these old patterns and old beliefs. And instead, I'm going to go hang out with my inner child and I'm going to go have some fun and I'm going to go do whatever that new version of you is going to be doing. And so that's one aspect. And then you incorporate plant medicine, microdosing, and people are shifting like this. They are shifting in a heartbeat. And then on top of that, let's say you do one or two big ceremonies with plant medicine. Now, I literally have witnessed people change their lives in 6 months from doing this.
In 6 months, how many macro sessions would you typically give
So it's,
for 6 months for a major shift?
yeah, so it's anywhere between 2 to 4 big ceremonies with continual microdosing during that time. And then it incorporates the techniques, which is where we work with neurolinguistic programming. We're going to look at your energetic body and I'm going to start teaching you. We're going to create this very beautiful schedule of when you see this, what happened in your environment that triggered you. Okay, if that experience triggered that, where does that land in your body? Does it remind you of a past experience? Is it a story, whatever it is, right? From that point, then we move into, okay, now we're going to start creating different actions that are going to support where you're moving. And so it's this whole restructuring, but it all is based becoming a child and becoming extremely curious versus in the adult brain, which is critical. So it's all about
Exactly.
becoming
Yeah.
curious about your journey. And that's honestly probably I'm going to use the word sickness. Probably the biggest sickness that I see in today's world is once a person hits a specific age, it's like they totally disconnect from the idea of becoming curious about life. Becoming curious, why do I tick the way that I tick? And what if I came at it in a way that was more fun versus trying to beat myself up over it?
Such valuable information. That line is gold, what you just said there. It's so true. We self-sabotage, we become less fun. It's all about survival and seriousness up until maybe the time we can retire if we can,
Yeah.
where we try to retrain ourselves on how to have fun again. Yeah. Such
Yeah.
powerful stuff. Thank you so much. So, how do your methods, such as medicine weaving, let's talk about the definition of medicine weaving that you have told me about. How does that stand out from other kinds of coaching or therapy options when it comes to really desiring lasting change,
Mhm.
sustainable, lasting change to the rest of your life?
Mhm.
Can you do a little comparison there for me?
Yeah.
Talk about what medicine weaving is.
Medicine weaving is a style of, it's not really resilience. You're relying on yourself. It's not so I always tell my clients when they come and work with me, I love that you're there. I appreciate that I'm a beautiful stepping stone to help you process through this. And honestly, at some point, I don't ever want to see you again because I want you through these programs to become so self-aware and so self-reliant that you then have the toolkit to be empowered and to move forward. If you want to come sit in plant medicine, totally, I'll support that. But when it comes to my coaching programs, it is all about bringing your wholeness together, which means that we're working with emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical bodies. We're working with your auric field, your energetic, your mental field. We're also we're blueprinting, we're creating the new blueprint that you were never taught. Well, once you have that new blueprint, what are the endless possibilities? And I'm still going to be rooting you on, even if you don't ever end up in a coaching program with me again. That's great. And though it's all about being so rooted in your own constitution that you're like, I know myself and nothing can ever divert me from that again.
Powerful. What an amazing journey that would be for people, and to come out on the other side of that, I can imagine it shifting and changing every component of their life. You know, how they associate with their coworkers, their personal relationships, how they see money, how they see the future, how they see their inner circle and their outer circle, and being more selective
Mhm.
in who they let in.
Yes.
And just
Yes.
really having the power and strength and confidence to really go after what they truly desire in their heart.
Absolutely.
It's a
Absolutely.
beautiful, wonderful message that you send. Wonderful. So you had mentioned to me that you have some classes that I want to get these out to the world so those that want to participate can. Now, some of these events are in person.
Yeah.
Do you have any that are remote?
I do. I have one that's called the 8 Days of Forgiveness, which actually starts August 18th, and it's 8 days. Every day we're meeting for about an hour and a half to 2 hours virtually, and we will be stepping into what forgiveness truly and what that is embodied like, and the freedom that comes with that. That's all the way down to maybe as women, we have a tendency, like across the board, women have a tendency, especially moms, to hold mom guilt. Like there's mom guilt, there's I didn't show up in my best, or I allowed someone to walk all over me because of A, B, C, and D programming. Deep forgiveness allows deep freedom because then you release yourself and the others from perpetuating any type of lower thoughts or energies that come from that space, which do prevent you from thriving.
Wow, that is so true. I'm a stay-at-home mom. My kids are 20 and 18 and they're adulting now, but I remember very clearly and distinctly that daily burden and that heaviness of the guilt, the shame around not bringing in any income. I was a stay-at-home mom and it was a one income family till I was able to start my own business. And there was guilt that I wasn't bringing in enough money. And then, if I did go get a job, when I was working, I taught yoga part-time at the very beginning of my business. I had guilt that I wasn't with my kids. It's like either way, there's heaviness there that you're not in multiple places at the same time doing your job,
Yeah.
right? So that does create some obstacles. As the
Mhm.
kids grow up and you want to figure out what your career looks like,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
there's a lot, there's all of that has built up over those years of time that really can create some massive struggle for what direction do I go now?
Absolutely. Women there and women naturally go through these different phases anyways, right? We've got maiden, mother, crone, and every other type of archetype for women in between there. And, the moment women really start to go through those different phases, we literally are shedding versions of the self and constant rediscovering of the self. And that is, I love working with women in those phases because plant medicine is phenomenal for that, especially if you're premenopause.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they're doing a lot of
On
research
that a little more.
around that. So right now, there's research they're doing around psilocybin is showing that it can actually help balance hormones, which is so important when you're going and when you're premenopause. Uh, like across the board, your everything is messed up, right? And so it actually they're showing that it balances everything out. Halmaska does the same thing. We're actually in research studies right now with Halmaska in microdose form, which is a pill of powder that you take to see if it can actually help women who are perimenopause as well as in the depths of menopause.
Fabulous. I hope some people take you up on that that's listening. So let's talk on the classes that you have online here that are coming up. The first one is the Lionsgate Hearts Meridian. That is August 8th. It's a Friday. Those that are local to us, Larimer County area, can participate in this in person. Can you talk on the Hearts Meridian class a little bit?
Yeah, so this is a sound bath as well as an activation. This is really great for entrepreneurs, team leads, CEOs as well too. We walk through an activation. So just in case no one knows what the Lion's Gate is, it's an actual energetic portal through planetary alignments that actually starts on the 26th and ends on the 26th of this month and ends on the 9th of August, and it's an abundance timeline. And the 8th is like the big day. It's when the energy peaks the most. And so it's a great day to harness manifesting any type of abundance. Maybe you're wanting to thrive a little bit differently in your business. Now, I want to tap on this a little bit. Not fully developed into the self, you're depleted energetically, nutrition wise, you're not going to show up as your best, right? And so we hold these little they're sound baths as well as heart activations and abundant activations quite often throughout the year to help just kind of keep yourself up and going, right? Like we want you to feel uplifted. We want you to feel aligned. And so we use crystal bowls, gongs. We work with the Sophia code as well too, where we work with specific mentors all the way down to learning how to work with the heart and maneuver through your life through the heart.
Mm, love it. Yeah, I've had some sound healing experience and it is powerful.
Mhm.
It vibrates you throughout your whole body. Yeah, shakes some things loose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's beautiful. And then you have another one on the 9th, which is a Saturday, August 9th, the Full Moon Lions Gate, and that is for non-members. So it sounds like you do have a membership program. Is that for your coaching?
No, so this is actually held at Faith and Nature Wellness Hub, which I co-own with my mom, and it is a private membership church association in Denver, and it's a wellness hub. And we have the energy enhancement system, which is the EE system, also known as the light system these days. And it's a sequence of screens that use the Fibonacci as well as scalar waves and emit specific colors. So you're getting color therapy, affirmations, but when these frequencies collide in the room, because their pillars are all connected and they collide in the room, what it does is it's kind of like they collide and create this toric field. And when that toric field gets activated, it's 2 miles, 2.2 to be exact, all the way around above and below of spiritual and physical healing. And Unified Healing has been doing tons of research on the light system. It's been healing people of diabetes. It's really great for ADD and ADHD. If you're having a hard time sleeping, they're doing research right now on tumors with it, and it's shrinking tumors. And so that's just the physical healing that you get from this specific room, which is at our healing hub, and that's where the sound baths take place. And so the Full Moon Lionsgate portal is a new moon sound bath with the EE system. We have plant music therapy where plants legitimately play music. And we've been doing research with plants since 2014 on the benefits of listening to them. As well as I do tonal activations, do clearings, shamanic work within that full moon event.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So say the name of your facility again,
Yes, so it's Faith in Nature Wellness Hub.
and it's in Denver.
Yes. Yeah.
Fabulous. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I so appreciate you being here and spending some time with me, sharing your journey personally, getting a little vulnerable with me, and sharing the power of this medicine. Can you speak just briefly before we close on the benefits of micro dosing? Because I have a few people that I know that participate in it and they use it for various reasons. And can you just speak a moment on kind of dosages and duration of time before you take breaks on it and what it can do to really help the general public? That seems to be more popular or more well known and out there than the macro
Yeah.
dosing. For right now, anyways, at least in the circles that I know, that there's a lot more people doing the micro just for daily therapeutic reasons. So let's
Yeah.
talk on that for just a moment.
So microdosing is going to be a tenth of a gram. So a gram is what's considered to be more your macro doses. It's bigger doses of it, right? And so if you have 1 gram of psilocybin, a tenth of that is actually the lowest dose of microdosing, which is 100 milligrams. So if you were to have 2 grams, a tenth of that is 200 milligrams, which is actually considered the higher dose of microdosing. And so the benefits of microdosing is I can't remember the name of the university, but they just did a study on the benefits. They did side by side antidepressants and psilocybin. Psilocybin came out on top as better to use for depression than antidepressants. And so now, me saying this, I am not a doctor, just so that everyone knows, I'm not a doctor. I've done my research. I work with many clients with microdosing. You should always work with your doctor when wanting to transition off of your antidepressants. So when you are transitioning off of an antidepressant with the help of your doctor, you want to start microdosing around about 100 milligrams of your antidepressant, and you want to take that with about like 100 milligrams of the microdose. And what that does is you're replacing one thing that your body is super dependent on to have you function throughout your day to now using something else that's actually going to have you start feeling way better over time. Microdosing is kind of like long-term game. It is a long-term game in the sense of there's been studies, even with a close friend, over well, no, it was like a year, a little over a year, that this woman who had a TBI as well as severe depression, microdosing alone with a protocol of 5 days on, 2 days off for the first 6 months, and then dropping to 4 days on, 3 days off. She actually healed her TBI and is not showing depression at all. And so it's more of a long-term game if you're microdosing in the sense versus if you to do like big ceremonies with microdosing that can condense everything to about 6 months. And so I like microdosing. I'll admit I still microdose every now and then because it's just something that you're naturally going to feel uplifted about. You're not going to have this crazy out of the body experience, which is also great, but you're still getting the benefits of having your neural pathways fire differently, growing new neural pathways, your nervous system is relaxing. So it's honestly the most amazing thing that I believe everyone could be doing on a regular basis.
Yeah. And it helps quite a bit with anxiety, like
Yes,
general anxiety disorder, and
100%.
just a feeling of uncertainty and nervousness
Mhm.
that a lot of people have 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's even great for, they're actually doing tons of studies around dyslexia, not dyslexia. Well, dyslexia is definitely something I would love for them to study, but bulimia, someone who is anorexic and might be bulimic. They're doing a lot of studies with microdosing right now. Mhm.
How else could it help people as far as physical symptoms of things? Like, can it help regulate blood sugar in any way? Can it help with weight loss? Are there any other things that speak to you loudly on how microdosing could help the people out there that may want to try it and haven't really looked into it too much yet?
I haven't done too much research on that, so I can't really contest to that. I have heard when all of this first started coming out that it's great for those who might be obese or just overweight because it does suppress your appetite I have had clients experience the opposite where it actually ups their appetite. So I think it's just so dependent upon each person. Now, typically, if someone has does have an eating disorder, there's a deeper thing going on there. So absolutely working with microdosing is going to be super beneficial because over time, it's going to delayer what that core is so that hopefully they can actually change what's going on.
Yeah. And there are some things that do come up with microdosing where there's some self-reflection moments that do occur, and when you have those moments of, oh, well, that is interesting that came into mind and let's process that. That is the micro dose really kind of helping to gently, very slowly do the unraveling.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's important if you do microdose to just be self-aware
Yeah.
of what can gently kind of come up in a day to day when you're using it.
And that's why I say, like, if you're going to start microdosing, whether you're on medication or not, it's really great to find someone who can help guide you through that just a little bit, because there are times where you're going to be like, I don't understand why I'm feeling all of this all of a sudden. That's a really big common side effect when someone transitions being on antidepressants or an anti-anxiety medication to psilocybin, because those other medications actually suppress what you're feeling. And now all of a sudden we're opening up this gate of these emotions and these feelings. It's not as intense, but there's still a point where it's like, I could totally use some guidance right now. And so finding microdosing programs just to start out with and have someone there with you is so important, because it's not just about going and doing it. You need to absolutely have an appropriate group of people and a team on board with you.
Yeah. And be kind of aware when you start that could happen.
Yes. Yeah.
You just don't want to try it without any expectation as to what the outcome could be.
Yes.
As you start to use this as a therapeutic process. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Janelle. This was so awesome. You taught me so much about this therapeutic process, and I know there's a lot of curious minds out there that will benefit a lot from this podcast. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being on with me. I'm going to put Janelle's contact information in the show notes. So take a look at that to get information on her website, her upcoming classes. If you are local enough to show up, I highly recommend you maybe give her a call, sign up for a workshop, and see how it can shift you. I'm going to add your email on there, Janelle, for people to maybe write if they have any questions for you. And take a peek at that, guys, if you want to tap into this and go on a journey together. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you have a wonderful rest of your day, Janelle.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Thank you for being here. That's a wrap for today, folks. Thanks for spending the time with me. And don't forget to check the notifications below on my social media links, my YouTube channel with self-care and meditations, as well as my omshantihealing.com website, where you can get info on spiritual coaching and my online courses. And as always, if you do enjoy my podcast, don't forget to subscribe or sponsor below. We'll talk to you soon. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye-bye.